Alex. How are you?
Good, Eric. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Firstly, congratulations on the purchase. How are you feeling about it all?
Thanks. Yeah, it's good to finally, have it all done and dusted and finally have something that I can call mine. So yeah, pretty happy
Yeah,
with it.
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, firstly, yeah, thanks for making the time to jump on this call with me today. I really appreciate it. As I said, the purpose of this call is really just for us to have a chat about your experience working with me and for you to give your feedback and yeah, tell me what you liked and if there was anything that I can do better in the future. All right. So firstly, just for the listeners who don't know anything about you, tell us a little bit about yourself and what made you want to start investing in property.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I'm male in my 30s, high school teacher. And, I know that a lot of people my age have, bought properties or are buying properties. Not necessarily, investment properties, but they do have some sort of property either, to live in or, they have at least one to rent out. And so, yeah, I definitely wanted to, just get into the market and, just have something that I could call mine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I started looking, for, something to own pretty much since 2020. But with, prices going up, I was like, oh, gee, I don't know, and I save up enough, But,
so you've been searching for almost 2 years, is that right?
Yeah, close to that, yeah. Or a little bit more, I guess. Yeah, I was kind of also, I felt like I didn't have enough money in terms of my savings, and property prices was going up and it just felt like it was a little bit out of reach and kind of where I was situated, where I am living, on the northern beaches of Sydney, everything seems just like so much more expensive than what I could actually own. So yeah.
Were you looking for a place to live in or were you looking for an investment property on the northern beaches?
Originally, I was looking for more something I could live in. But then, things kind of like, I was kind of like, all right, I just wanted to own something. And so investment property, like we're pretty happy with as well.
Yeah. I was going to say a lot of people seem to buy their first home as something they want to live in. But yeah, you ended up deciding to buy an investment property instead. What made you change your way of thinking to, I guess, want to buy an investment property instead of a place to live in as your first place?
Yeah. Well, I think like the thing that really wanted me to actually, I wanted to buy something to live in was also like, some of the perks as well, like, with the first time buyer sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But also like just, living in Sydney and just everything was just so expensive. So it kind of like really did push me away to like, well, maybe investing is more, a better option for me. Plus I wasn't really keen on buying something like a unit because I always saw that as, I'm not really just buying, that like I'm just kind of just buying a place and not really the land as well. So I was kind of like, pretty keen to just like I wanted to own a house.
Yeah.
So that brought me more to investing rather than an actual, residential property I could live in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned you didn't want to buy a unit because I'm now a big believer in buying land and houses because when you buy a unit, you're not buying the land, you're buying a portion of that land. And over time, what we've seen through history and the stats is that the houses always grow at a much faster pace than the units do in a given suburb. Because over time, it's the land value that appreciates. But then with a unit, you only own a part of the building and the building is actually what depreciates over time, but you don't own the entire land, you only own a portion of it. And so that's why I've found that, when it comes to owning houses on blocks of land, that you just perform a lot better over time and they grow a lot quicker as well. So, yeah. I'm keen to understand a little bit more. When we first started talking, you were interested in buying up in Brisbane. Tell me about the areas that you're interested in.
Well, I was kind of looking a little bit all over the place in Brisbane. I do have an auntie who has recently bought up there. I think late last year, she ended up purchasing her property up there, and that was north of Brisbane.
Yeah.
But I was also looking at a few other suburbs, like around Ipswich, because I thought it was a little bit more affordable, and just a little bit of research. It was just kind of like some people are like, oh, it's up and coming areas and all that. But, went up there 2 times, within a year period. And I kind of I was really keen on looking at more the eastern side of Brisbane, around Alexandra Hill. Yeah. So I just really liked the area and thought it was more of a good investments area, because I could see myself living there. So yeah, they're kind of more the places I was looking at. And I don't know, I might still come back to Brisbane, I think, sometime in the future, but also, it was also because of the whole Olympics coming, I think about 9 years now. That was also something that was kind of drawing me towards that area rather than other places around Australia.
Yeah. I think you make a good point. I built most of my portfolio in Brisbane. However, at this time, I just felt that Brisbane had already peaked and a lot of the prices were already so high and were actually coming down as well. So the valuations for a lot of my portfolio in Brisbane had been quite flat in the last 12 months. So yeah, that's why when you told me that you weren't, when you told me that you were interested in Brisbane, I just wasn't too sure about it, because it's personally where I wouldn't put my money again, especially if you wanted to buy something that's going to grow in the next, 1 to 2 years, so that you can, extract more equity and then buy another property to build your portfolio. But I do think Brisbane still has a big future, especially with the Olympics coming, and especially with interstate migration just being so, it's a very popular place for interstate migration on the East Coast. So yeah, definitely, I think Brisbane is somewhere to keep an eye on for the future. But I just wasn't too confident about it in the short term. Yeah. So I guess when we spoke, you wanted to buy in Brisbane, and then we had a few chats about that. What made you, I guess, decide to let go of Brisbane and decide on a different place to invest?
Well, it's more your experience, to be honest. I mean, like I said, I haven't got anything, and I was doing a little bit of research and kind of, I was listening to other people, like parents and my auntie, and as well as other people that purchased. And I really wanted an expert opinion in where to look at. I was more at that time set on Brisbane, because I thought it was, going to, have that potential growth within the first few years. But, obviously, like you've mentioned, in the next few years, maybe not the best choice. So I was kind of, I was pretty happy with the way that, you've, directed me to say, how about we look somewhere else? And, I understand that you have a variety of other properties they have as well. This isn't your first time doing this stuff. So yeah, I was more than happy to listen to your advice, and just, once you actually brought forward a few proposed areas and I had a look at them, I really liked them, and you showed me a few graphs as well to see potential growth and all that. Yeah, it really got me confident on the place.
Yeah. I remember when you said you wanted to buy in Brisbane, and I thought, okay, well, I would only say yes or agree to it if you had long-term plans to potentially move up to Brisbane one day and call that place your home. So therefore it could be an investment property for now, but then a place to live in the future, and then you can lock that in now. But when you said that it was just purely an investment and you wanted to potentially build a portfolio, that's when I just thought, I don't think Brisbane is the place to get a lot of short-term growth, to get that equity to unlock. And then I remember sending you an email with, the graph that had shown the prices of Brisbane just going up, and it hit a peak, and then it's kind of coming down a little bit. And in that particular suburb that you were interested in, Alexandra Hills, it kind of just come back a little bit and had remained flat for the last 12 months. And normally when it grows at such a rapid rate, it's at high risk of going through a correction. And that's what I felt that most of Brisbane was going through right now. So a lot of people are investing in the Ipswich and Logan areas because they're a little bit more affordable, but a lot of the nicer suburbs, stronger investment suburbs that I would classify are kind of just going through a bit of a lull or a correction. So I didn't feel confident that it would grow in the short term. But I think, you could get something there right now while it's going through that lull, and it will perform well in the long term, but not for the short term equity growth for you to build your portfolio. So, yeah. I also wanted to ask you, you bought your first investment property. And I know that a lot of people who buy their first property, whether it be an investment or a place to live in, they tend to do it themselves. What made you want to work with a buyer's agent to buy your first property?
I mean, there's a lot to all of this. And I mean, I just felt like I was kind of repeating the process of trying to, find a good area and find a good place, and I was kind of I felt like I was kind of in a little bit of a loop there.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm not really so experienced with this stuff. So the next steps that followed after, I did actually find a place that I did like, put an offer down. I wasn't really 100% sure what would follow that. And I mean, having you as a buyer's agent, you told me, exactly this is what's going to happen. This is what you'll need to do. These are the next steps. And you assisted me along the way, which was perfect. And it's kind of exactly what I want, particularly for my first purchase.
Yeah. Did you know what to expect from a buyer's agent, or had you had any friends or family who told you what a buyer's agent does? Or how did you even know what a buyer's agent does?
So I had my dad's close friend. He used a buyer's agent probably about 3 years now to buy something in Western Sydney.
Yeah.
He said he spent, I think it was something spent 10 to 12,000, but he said that he made that money back essentially because of what the buyer's agent was able to do for him in terms of purchasing the property, where he was able to get 2 rental incomes from the property, which he wasn't able to actually see that himself until the buyer's agent actually pointed out. So he highly recommended getting a buyer's agent is definitely helpful. So
had you heard of a buyer's agent before, and I guess what made you decide to want to work with a buyer's agent?
Yeah, so I had actually heard of a buyer's agent before. My dad's friend had actually used one previously.
Yeah.
He has a few properties, but for this one particular property, he used the buyer's agent to purchase a place in Western Sydney.
Yeah.
So this was a few years ago, and when he did actually use the agent, he said it was well worth it, that he kind of got the money essentially back short amount of time because of he actually didn't really see a lot of the potential that the property had. Yeah, the buyer's agent actually told him to have a look at this one particular property, and the buyer's agent saw a lot of value in it because he could actually see that there was able to get 2 rental incomes from it.
Yeah.
As well as he was able to actually auction on his behalf. So
he
did end up getting that property, and he saw it as well worth it, and said you should definitely go towards a buyer's agent if you're kind of struggling to find a property or all of that. These guys are experts; they know what they're doing. So
Okay. How did you go about looking for a buyer's agent?
Yeah, I had a look at a few forums online. Some of them quite helpful in regards to where to look for investments and all of that, but as well as buyers agents and solicitors and so forth. So I had a look online, and I had a look at a few buyers agents, as well as I spoke to my the person I was dealing with at the bank,
Yep.
and they provided me with you, and I had a little bit of research and saw your website and everything you had done in regards to your properties and previous clients, and I was happy to go ahead with you as well. So
Yeah, awesome. Okay, thanks for that feedback. Okay, so I guess, yeah, tell me about your experience working with me, us working together. Yeah, what did you like about it?
I just thought you just made the whole process like very easy, and you mean, like, I remember, like, from the get-go, you kind of asked, like, do you want to know everything that's happening, or do you want me to kind of take over and, I'll just be like, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I said,
Yeah.
let's go for the first option.
Okay.
And that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted someone to say, like, this is what's happening, this is the next few steps, and, input, your advice, and of course, with some things you can't give me, the full professional advice because it's outside of what you need to advise. For example,
Yeah.
if it's like legal in regards to solicitor or whatever.
Yeah.
But still, I would appreciate and want as much advice from someone that is expert, a little bit more expert in the area of
Yeah.
purchasing properties than I am. So I definitely valued that a lot, and it made the process a lot easier and a lot more understanding. And when it comes to me going towards property number two, hopefully, I reckon I would though, but have a lot more understanding as to the whole process of buying a place. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm really glad that you mentioned part about me giving you the two options, because my preferred way of working is to keep you updated every step of the way. Of course, some clients may not like that. Some clients are very busy, such as yourself, and they might just say, look, Eric, don't call me at all. Just call me when you have a property and tell me why the property is good, and then I'll sign the paperwork, and that's it. Right. But for me personally, I just feel that this is such a big purchase. And if I was buying my first property, I would want to be educated as much as possible, especially if I'm going to be the one that ultimately buys it and owns it. So I want to be educated and kept up to date. So that's my preferred way, but I always try to make sure that you're comfortable with that as well. Otherwise, I don't want you thinking, oh my God, Eric's calling me again. I want to stop hearing from him. So that's why I just wanted to, make sure that you're okay with that. Anything else that stood out in our experience working together?
I mean, like, even just initially, you had full on spreadsheet and like graphs, everything. It's just the amount of information that you provided to me, in regards to like potential properties or just potential areas. Like, I love that, and I didn't really, like, even in my research, like I mentioned, been doing research now and then for a couple of years. Like, I didn't really even think about, for example, like commission homes in the area or stuff like that. So when you like brought that up and you looked at that stuff, I was like, oh, that's actually, something that's really good. Yeah, just, you obviously, you have a good understanding of, this whole process. And it was a really good experience for me, like, just, having you and trying to, you know, understand everything and actually go towards, this first property. Like, yeah, just all in all, yeah, I liked it so far. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah, good, good. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that as well, because buying a home or buying a property and not, being from that area, it's quite easy to fall into the trap of buying in an area that is littered with public housing and I guess buying in a less desirable pocket. So it's good to, I guess, know about those things so that you can avoid buying in those areas. Otherwise, it could have a bad impact on, the value of your property in the long term, because not as many people want to buy in that area. Could have some negative repercussions in terms of, you might find it harder to find a tenant as well, because locals don't want to live in that area either. So yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that as well. Was there anything you didn't like or anything I could have done differently?
Honestly, no, on top of my head. So on top of my head, no. So obviously nothing
Yep.
big at all. And no, I can't even think of anything small. So like I honestly had no issues with you being my buyer's agents
Yeah.
or anything like that. Yeah, it was all good.
Well, look, let's talk about the property itself, the overall
Yeah.
outcome. That's what you ultimately came to me for, and we found your property. What did you like about the property?
I mean, like I like the fact that it's in a really nice area, so close to the beach as well. And
Yeah.
um, I also, like I told you, like I do have a mate that's really close to the area where I ended up buying,
Yep.
um, 3 suburbs away, and he said like, this area is very good, it's very nice. He's been there
Yep.
before, and you know, it it was in the end like a really good purchase. I felt not only just that alone, but also the size of the property for
Yeah.
that area. Like I've been looking at a few, um, property apps, since then, and all the ones that come up, not really that, that size as well. So I felt really happy, like being able to get something of that size in that
Yeah.
area, so close to the beach, with the relevant amount, shops nearby and so forth. And
Yeah.
I mean, like the building itself, I'm happy with that as well. Like it's, it's a little bit older, but still double brick and it seems very sturdy and everything about that. So
Pretty
yeah,
modern
I'm
on the
very,
inside as well. It looked like it had been
yeah,
renovated quite well on the inside. So you're not
yeah,
going to need to put in a new kitchen or a new bathroom or floorboards. It was pretty well done.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I
perfect.
mean, me personally, I'm very jealous of that purchase because I've personally bought in the area myself, not in that suburb, but the one over. But I really
Yeah,
wanted to buy in that suburb. That was my top preference suburb. But at the time that I was looking, there was just no stock there. It was a very tightly held area. And then, like, it's funny, I should mention this because the agent that I ended up doing the deal with for your property, I had built up a relationship with him over time because I'd been trying to buy for myself and I couldn't. And then well, I did put a bid down, and then him and the vendor uh, ended up wanting to sell to me, but then I had already bought the one that I ended up getting. And I even told him, like, look, here's my offer, but I'm just letting you know I've got an offer on this other place as well. I'm not mucking around. If you guys are too
yeah,
slow, I'm taking the other one. And then he was just like, yeah, look, I'll do what I can. And then ultimately they were too slow and I bought the other one. So when he realized that I was actually telling the truth and I wasn't mucking around, he knew that, I mean business. And then for my previous client before you, I had also tried to buy another property through him as well. And then I was unsuccessful, but we built up a good relationship. And then he basically said, "Okay, Eric, next one, I've got something coming up. I'll let you know about it." So when your one came up, he kind of just said, "Eric, I've got this one. You're the only one who has access to it." And I said, "Okay, I think I have a buyer. I'm onboarding him on the weekend. If he's interested, we'll put in an offer." And then basically, yeah, as soon as we started looking, we had that one, and yeah, it was we had exclusive access to it, which was really really good. But yeah, I really like that one because it's in such a good location. It's what 300 meters from the beach. It's on a massive, what is it, 900 square meter block? Is it?
yeah, a bit over 900. Yeah,
Yeah, with potential to either subdivide or put a granny flat in at the back.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
so good. Yeah,
That's great. Yeah,
I really wanted something like that for myself.
yeah,
And yeah, like to have a subdivision or granny flat potential property 300 meters from the beach is just, yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm very jealous.
yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions just so you can give me some ratings. And it's just for
Sure.
me to understand, what I can work on and yeah, what I can improve on really. So yeah, I'll ask you about just a few areas. You can just give me a rating from 1 to 10. 1 being 10 being really, really good. So first
Sure.
one is communication.
Mhm. Nah, 10.
You don't have to give a 10, by the way. I'm not going to get offended.
No, you are always contacting me. Not over contacting, you were contacting me quite often. So communication, and you're very clear with a lot of things. So
Okay.
yeah, 10.
Thank you. Knowledge?
I'd say 8.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I mean, like, of course, this is from someone that doesn't have as much knowledge. But even though, there were some things that I may have asked that you didn't, you weren't you weren't aware of, you still went out and you found out, what these things were, and you came back to me. So again, hence why I also gave you 10 out of 10 for communication.
Okay. Yep. Okay. No, that's very good. That's very good feedback. The overall outcome, so the property itself.
Yeah, about 9 out of 10.
No? Okay. Yep.
Yep.
And just the overall experience of us working together. You as a client, buying a property, me as your buyer's agent.
Yep. 10 out of 10.
Really? Oh, wow. Thank you. You sure it's a 10?
I reckon it's a 10, yeah.
Okay.
We're more than happy to have you again or recommend you to anyone. Let's just say that.
No
10 out of
worries.
10.
Thank you so much, mate. Look, I really appreciate all the feedback. Is there anything else you want to share?
No, not much else, man. I mean, like,
Yep.
you're a great buyer's agent. I'm happy with, your job, and I've got my property, and that's all I wanted. So fantastic.
If there is anyone who is listening that is contemplating buying an investment property and they're not sure if they should use a buyer's agent or not, what would you say to them?
I'd say, take the plunge. Just get a buyer's agent. Whether it's you or not, go for a buyer's agent. It's your first property. You'll get experience through it. The money is well worth it, what you spend for buyer's agent, and yeah, it's definitely worth it.
Did we get the money back for your purchase?
Yeah, we did.
Well, yeah, I remember I did negotiate $9,000 off the purchase price after we bought it as well. So
You did. Yes, you definitely did get that. So yeah, even more of a reason to say, you're fantastic. So
no worries. Okay, well, look, I think that's basically it, mate. Yeah, once again, thank you so much for your time. It was an awesome experience working with you, and hopefully we can do it again.
I'd love to do it again. Thanks, Eric.